They laughed when my brother smashed my laptop, the one holding my master's thesis. They called me dramatic while my future lay in pieces on the floor. But I rebuilt everything from scratch, gathered every receipt of his lies, fraud, and theft. And then I made sure the golden child they protected would never get away with it again. Do you want me to also give you 3 alternative hook lines? So you can test which one pulls the highest clicks. I was 1 week away from submitting the most important document of my life, my master's thesis. Months of sleepless nights, coffee-fueled weekends, and pages upon pages of painstaking research all lived on that laptop. It was my lifeline, the final bridge between my academic journey and the career I'd fought so hard to build. I lived modestly, juggling part-time jobs between classes, barely affording rent, let alone cloud backups or spare devices. But I was proud. I was building something for myself. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where you are watching this video. Then my brother barged into my room, angry that I wouldn't drive him to a party. I calmly said no. I had to finish my thesis. He scoffed and muttered, "You think you're better than everyone? Just because you're in school." I ignored him. That was a mistake. He stormed off, and within minutes, I heard the shattering sound. I rushed into the living room only to find my laptop in pieces on the hardwood floor. The screen was cracked straight down the middle. The keyboard snapped off, and the body bent unnaturally. My brother stood over it, arms crossed, smug. "Oops," he said. It slipped. I couldn't breathe. I dropped to my knees, staring at the ruins of my work. Every file, every draft, gone. I turned to my parents in tears, desperate for support, but they didn't even flinch. My mom chuckled and waved her hand. "It's just a computer. You're being dramatic." My dad shook his head, amused. "You kids and your digital nonsense should have printed it out like people used to do." I felt like I was in a nightmare. My own family, the people who were supposed to care, were laughing while my dreams were being destroyed in front of me. And the worst part? They didn't even hide their favoritism. My brother shrugged. "Maybe next time don't act like you're the only one who matters." I left the room in silence. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I sat in the dark, heart racing, rage boiling in my veins. And in that moment, I decided this wouldn't be the end of my story. It would be the beginning of my revenge. I scraped together every cent I had. I pawned my guitar, skipped meals, and begged my professor for a deadline extension. I worked from campus computers, overnight shifts, using flash drives and Google Docs like my life depended on it, because it did. But while I was rebuilding my thesis in silence, I was also planning something else. You see, my brother's party boy persona was about to come crashing down. I started gathering receipts, literal ones, from all the things he'd charged on my parents' credit card. Fake IDs, alcohol, even a broken window from a wild night that he blamed on a neighbor. My parents never looked twice, but I did. And I waited. The day I submitted my thesis was the same day I scheduled a meeting with the dean's office. Not about me, but about a certain student who had recently plagiarized an entire assignment. My brother. I'd seen the original online. It was too easy. My parents still didn't know what was coming, but they would. I didn't speak to my family for a while after that day, not out of rebellion, but because I needed every ounce of strength to rebuild what they tried to destroy. And as I clawed my way back to finishing my thesis, alone and unsupported, my brother walked around like he was invincible. My parents still coddled him like a golden child, oblivious to the storm brewing under their roof. The night I submitted my thesis, I didn't cry from exhaustion. I cried because I had survived. I had rebuilt everything he tried to erase. But I wasn't done. You see, while my parents praised my brother for things like finally getting a B or not wrecking the car this month, they hadn't once acknowledged the effort it took for me to make it to graduation. Not once did they ask if I was okay after the laptop incident. Instead, they spent money upgrading my brother's car stereo system and threw a barbecue in his honor for staying out of trouble. Meanwhile, I was patching my life together with duct tape and fury, but fate has a way of helping those who help themselves. My thesis was selected for a national award. I was to present it at a conference in Chicago, all expenses paid. I didn't even tell my parents. I just packed my one good outfit, boarded the flight, and stood in front of a hall full of professionals, professors, and innovators. People who saw me, valued me, clapped for me. The day after my return, I arrived home to chaos. My brother had been caught cheating again, and this time it wasn't just school. He had submitted a plagiarized article to a local magazine, using my name. I found out when the magazine emailed me for follow-up edits, thinking I'd written it. When I traced it, I realized it had been copy-pasted from an obscure blog, word for word. I confronted him calmly, showed him the evidence. He laughed and said, "No one's going to believe you. You're the dramatic one, remember?" But I wasn't just the dramatic one anymore. I was the one with receipts, with credibility, with a growing network. So I sent the full report to the university board, the magazine's editorial staff, and copied in the ethics committee. But the final blow didn't come from me. It came from the financial institution. Remember all those charges my brother had made on my parents' card, including the new tires, the fake IDs, the online gambling? I had quietly compiled them all into a digital folder complete with timestamps, merchant receipts, and a signed application he'd faked using my name. Yes, he had used my name to sign up for a $2,500 student line of credit without my consent. It wasn't just theft. It was fraud. When I presented it to the bank, with legal counsel from the university's free clinic, they launched an investigation. My brother was summoned. My parents panicked. My mother cried, "You're tearing this family apart over money." To which I calmly replied, "No, he did that when he tore my life apart, and you laughed." They tried everything to silence me. My dad offered to handle it privately. My mom begged, "Just let it go. Family comes first." I stared at them, blankly. I am family? You just forgot that part. The court date was set. My brother tried to claim mental stress. My parents tried to pin it on me for not telling them earlier. I brought emails, screenshots, evidence, and a calm, collected demeanor that stunned them into silence. But I wasn't seeking jail time. I wanted justice. I wanted him to face what I had to, rebuilding from nothing. So I demanded full financial restitution for the damages, the cost of the laptop, the thesis recovery process, the forged credit, $75,000, and the judge agreed. My brother's accounts were frozen. My parents, out of desperation, offered to settle it within the family. They even said, "You owe her that much. She's the favorite." That was the final nail, because that's when I realized they would never see me as a daughter, just a tool to keep their golden son clean. So I walked away. The next time they tried to reach me, they received an auto reply. "This number is no longer in service. Please contact your favorite child instead." 6 months passed in silence. My parents didn't call. My brother tried once to blame me for ruining his future, but I was done answering to people who never listened when I was crying, who only remembered I existed when they needed something signed or silenced. I moved to a different city, took a job at a think tank that paid me well, valued my ideas, and, more importantly, respected my name. But the universe wasn't finished with them yet. One evening, I got a call from a woman named Olivia. She was the editor-in-chief at a rising investigative journalism outlet, and she was following a lead on academic fraud cases linked to a certain university. Apparently, my brother's name had surfaced in connection with several other questionable activities, including reselling plagiarized essays and forged recommendation letters. She'd heard about the court case and found my name on the transcript. "I'd love to hear your side of the story," she said. At first, I hesitated. But then I realized something. My silence had protected them for too long. So I agreed. I didn't trash them. I didn't go for drama. I simply told the truth. How a girl's academic future was nearly crushed by her own brother. How her parents laughed and defended the guilty while watching their daughter drown. And how they begged only when the courts got involved. The article went viral within days. The title, "Family Loyalty or Family Scapegoat: One Woman's Fight Against Toxic Silence." My old professors shared it. Former neighbors sent me messages. A teacher from high school reached out to say, "We always knew you were the strong one." But my family? They lost everything they cared about, their reputation. My mother's book club canceled their invite. My father's promotion at work was quietly withdrawn due to integrity concerns. And my brother? He was blacklisted from academic opportunities and internships because people had receipts now. Not rumors, not gossip, facts. And here's the twist they never saw coming. The think tank I worked for? We acquired a historic family estate in my hometown to turn into a retreat and innovation center. Guess who used to host their family reunions on that exact property? Yes, my parents. I didn't buy it out of revenge. I bought it because the property was ideal, serene, symbolic, and spacious. But when the time came for their